Hello everybody, and welcome back to t.williamstutoring TV, where we instill hope through math. I am your host, Taya. So a lot of times you're using a unit circle in relation to trig ratios, and you use them a lot. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
So there's a couple things I want to take a look at with regards to the unit circle. The first thing I want us to look at are the degrees around the circle. So we're going from 0 degrees to 360 degrees, because that would be a full rotation or a full revolution around the circle one time. So when we're looking at the first quadrant, you'll notice that we only have about 5 degrees we're taking into account. So 0, 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees, and 90 degrees. So if we're looking at this quadrant here, we notice that this first quadrant, the remaining quadrants are going to be multiples of the first quadrant. So if we look at 30 degrees, so we have 30 degrees, of course 60 degrees. So we're just going to keep adding 30 on. So we'll have 30, 60, 90, 120, 115, 180, and so on and so forth. So you'll notice that 30 degrees and 60 degrees, their multiples are going to coincide, because 60 degrees and all its multiples are also going to be multiples of 30 degrees. And then similar situation for 45 degrees. So we have 45, of course, 90, 135, 225. I skipped 180, 180, 225, so on and so forth. So looking at the first quadrant, I know that quadrants 2, 3, and 4 are multiples of quadrant 1. So this is an important note to consider. The second thing I want to consider is the coordinates. Our x and y coordinate are going to relate to cosine and sine. So for x and y, it actually relates to cosine of theta, so whatever degree measurement you're looking at, and then sine of theta. So when we're looking at our x and y coordinates, you'll notice, so if we look at quadrant 1, you'll see that those x and y coordinates, they actually repeat themselves to quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. The only difference is that their signs are going to be different depending on what quadrant you're in. Going from 0 to 90 degrees, this is going to be considered Q1. From 90 to 180 is going to be considered Q2 or quadrant 2. From 180 to 270 is going to be considered Q3 or quadrant 3. And then of course from 270 all the way to 360 is going to be considered our Q4 or quadrant 4. So within quadrant 1, we notice that the x coordinate, or our cosine, is positive, and the sine, or the y value, is positive. But if you notice in quadrant 2, same values are repeating themselves. However, our cosine, or our x, is negative, but our y value is positive, right? So you see corresponding angle to pi over 6 would be 5 pi over 6. They have the same values, but except our x in quadrant 2 is negative. All right, so similar for quadrant 3. If we look at quadrant 3, we notice that the x value and the y value are negative. Looking at those sign changes here and here, both are negative. And then in quadrant 4, x is positive, but the y is negative. Okay, so this is really, really good information to know, because if we can just take care of the first quadrant, then we can recreate quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So I'm going to show you a little trick that allows you to create all of your x and y coordinates in quadrant 1. And then you can just make your adjustments with your sign changes depending on what quadrant you're in after quadrant 1. The first thing I want to take into account is when we are at 0 degrees. So when we're at 0 degrees, keep in mind we just haven't moved, right? So if I'm at 0 degrees, then that would mean I'm starting on the x-axis. So technically I'll just put a dot here and I'll say I'm here. So at this dot, I'm at 1, 0. All right. So when I'm at 0 degrees, because that's 0 degrees right here, I'm at 1, 0. So I know that the x value here should be 1, and my y value is going to be 0. Similar situation if I'm looking at 90 degrees. Think of these as your key points. So if I'm at 90 degrees, I'm right on the y-axis. So at that point, I'm at 0, 1. Right? So that means my x value here is going to be 0, but my y value is going to be 1. And we're going to follow up and go into the actual calculations. All right, so in this case, so for your x value, you're going to start from 4 and then count your way down. So 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. These are going to be your numerators. All right. And then we're going to divide every fraction by 2. Okay. So for our numerator, going back to our numerator, we're going to square root all of our numerators and simplify where we can. All right. So the square root of 4 I know is simply equal to 2. So 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1. So I see that that checks out. All right. Root 3 over 2 is simply root 3 over 2. Root 2 over 2 is simply root 2 over 2. Root 1 over 2. So root 1 is simplified to 1 over 2. All right. So I'm going to circle that for my x value. And then root 0 is simply 0 divided by 2, which is 0. So we know that that checks out. All right. So now with our y values, okay, we're actually going to start lowest. So we're going to start from 0 this time in our numerator and increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to square root 0, square root 1, square root 2, square root 3, and square root 4. And we are dividing everything by 2. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and simplify. So the square root of 0 is simply 0 divided by 2, which is equal to 0. So we know that that checks out. And then root 1 over 2 is simply 1 over 2. Root 2 over 2, we can keep that as root 2 over 2. And then root 3 over 2, we can also keep as root 3 over 2. Root 4 over 2, so I know that simplifies to 2 over 2, which simplifies to 1. So we know that that checks out. Now remember, this is going to relate to cosine of theta, and y is going to relate to sine of theta. So what this is telling me is that cosine at 0 degrees is going to equal 1. Cosine of 30 degrees will equal to root 3 over 2, and so on and so forth. So it gives you all the information within your first quadrant. All right, so if I go back, we have the same values within quadrant 1 for the X and Y.
And just like that, we're back. All right, so that pretty much sums it up for today. Okay, y'all, so I am back pretty quickly because I completely forgot to record the dive deeper segment. I know. So of course, this is the time where I pose a question to you all and you give me your responses down in the comment section. So, question of the day. What is the importance behind finding commonalities? And honestly, we can think about this in terms of real life, and we can also think about this in terms of learning math. So why is it so helpful to find commonalities? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. And until next time, remember, you are capable, you got this, and carry yourself in. I'll see you all soon, okay? Bye.